Tonight, virtually addicted.
The length of time he plays on a game and his reaction while he's on a game and his reaction when he comes off a game. If that's not addiction, I don't know what it is.
The children who simply can't stop playing video games.
It's maybe even more damaging than regular chemical addiction. Why we are only now at the tip of the iceberg with gaming addiction is that the danger is much more long-term with kids. I mean, they just don't go to school anymore.
And the parents who are powerless to make them stop.
If he was on drugs, I probably would get help. But because I'm not, because he's addicted to this computer, nobody really wants to know.
Good evening. A new poll conducted exclusively for this program has shown that 64% of children admit to spending at least 4 hours playing video games every day. In some cases, that figure is even worse, up to 10 hours a day. Many parents feel that their children have become addicted to these games and that they are powerless to stop them. That view is shared by experts around the world, who see an increasing number of children who have become slaves to gaming. Last month, Europe's first ever clinic for video game addicts opened in Amsterdam. Since then, it's been inundated by calls from young people and parents desperate for help. Many of those requests come from people in this country. Linda Duberly has been meeting the children and the families living with a virtual addiction.
Got you.
Meet 6-year-old Sparky Mark Fairman. He loves playing his video games.
Bye, ambulance.
The problem is he loves playing them far too much, and this is what happens when his family try to stop him. It's behaviour like this that worries his mum, Rita. She's convinced that Sparky is actually addicted to gaming, and when you hear how much time he spends playing, you'll see why.
Hours and hours and hours. Last week he was on from about 6:30 in the morning. I came back from work at 7:15 and he was still on it. There's more to sitting playing on a computer game. I keep telling them that. Tell them to go out and play, but they say, oh, I'll just finish this level, I'll just finish this level.
Nelly lose the mission.
Do you ever, though, kind of think, well, actually, at least he's quiet, I'm going to let him do it, anything for a quiet life?
Yes, sometimes, yeah. It seems easier than all the screaming and shouting and paddy throwing. And if he's screaming and shouting, it's usually at his brothers, and then I start shouting at them. So I'll just say, right, just let him go on it. Just for an hour, just let him be quiet for an hour.
What makes you think that your son is addicted?
The length of time he plays on a game and his reaction while he's on a game and his reaction when he comes off a game. If that's not addiction, I don't know what it is.
Addicted or not, no one could argue that spending so much time gaming is a worry. But it would seem that Sparky is not alone. We wanted to see how much time children across Britain are spending playing video games. The results are a worry for any parent. From our survey of 500 children aged 10 to 16, 64% admitted to spending at least 4 hours a day on their video games, while 14% admitted spending a staggering 10 hours or more gaming. 15-year-old Grant Lodge from Croydon is one of them.
He'll spend the maximum time that he can. That can be getting up in the morning, literally just grabbing a bite to eat, coming down, getting a bowl of cereals, then back up the stairs until he goes to sleep.
His mum, Wendy, has good reason to worry as Grant's schoolwork is now suffering.
I was doing sort of A's and B's, and now I'm sort of seeing C's. So he seems to think that he's doing OK, but and I'm sort of putting that down yet again to playing the computer too much.
On the surface, the solution seems simple. Why doesn't Wendy remove his PC?
I've threatened to take the computer out of his room, and the threats I've had back are not very nice. Because a couple of times I've gone out in the hallway, got the trip switch on the electrics, because when he's completely blanked me, ignored me, he absolutely goes mental at me.
What does he say? What are some of the things?
Oh, he just screams and yells at me, you know.
But what about Grant? Does he think he has a problem?
Do you think that you have actually become addicted to these games?
I don't think I have.
Why is that?
I've got a bit of a problem with playing them, but I'm not addicted to it.
Yeah. When you say you've got a problem with playing them, what does that mean?
Because I play it too much, but I don't know why I have that problem.
But if you think Grant and Sparky's video game habit is shocking, meet Robin. He's 15 and lives with his mum in Bristol. And during school holidays, Robin happily admits to playing for up to 20 hours every single day.
He's not interacting with anybody. If Robin could, he would stay at that computer 24 hours out of 24 hours. He's actually done that. He stayed up for 2 days and he looked absolutely ill.
Wendy is desperate for help. She firmly believes that her son is an addict.
The people, they've probably not got children who are addicted to the computer. If they have, they will realise what it is like. There's really nowhere to turn to at all. I mean, if he was on drugs, I probably would get help. But because I'm not, because he's addicted to this computer, nobody really wants to know.
I think I'm addicted, like, my friends are addicted. It's an addictive game, like loads of people are addicted, like.
Our survey revealed that a huge 31% of kids who play also believe they're addicted to gaming. So we wanted to see for ourselves whether our 3 boys really were hooked. We devised an experiment. First, we needed to calculate exactly how long each child was spending gaming. All the mums were given video cameras, and for 15 days over the school holidays, they kept a detailed record of how long each of their sons spent playing. At the end, we will get an expert to assess each boy to find out if she thinks that they are addicted to their games. I travelled to Amsterdam to meet Keith BAKKER, who's in no doubt that video games are addictive. He's recently opened the first treatment centre in Europe.
Even when we first started out, I still had my doubts about, is it an addiction or is it, is it that dangerous? But now with the stories that I've been hearing around the world, it's as damaging or maybe even more damaging than regular chemical addiction. The danger, I think, and why we are only now at the tip of the iceberg with gaming addiction is that the danger is much more long-term with kids. I mean, they just don't go to school anymore.
Keith told me that when gamers play, their brains produce endorphins, giving them highs similar to that experienced by gamblers or even drug addicts. He wanted me to meet 2 of his patients to see for myself how excessive gaming had affected their lives. Was there a point at which it occurred to you that you'd actually become addicted? Did you believe that you had become addicted to gaming?
Yeah, that point came several years ago when I realized I just couldn't stop. I tried stopping for 2 weeks and then that happened, and then I said to myself, I'm just gonna play 1 hour tonight, and that 1 hour always turned into 6 to 10 hours.
What about your time with your family? How was that affected?
Well, I saw them once or twice a year in the last 6-7 years.
That's terrible.
Yeah, I didn't want to go to family meetings because then I couldn't play a game.
19-year-old Tim was also treated for gaming addiction. He even redesigned his bedroom so that he could game non-stop.
In my gaming room I was playing for 20 hours. I have the front of me a television, on the right, on the left and on the back. In the center I have a chair with wheels on it that I can turn the whole day. On the front I have an Xbox 360, on the right a PlayStation 2, on the left a GameCube, and on the back side a laptop with online games.
Tim was hooked. He couldn't leave his gaming setup even to go to the toilet.
I was not concentrated anymore. And when I was going to the toilet, I take an empty milk bottle and I pee in it. Because I do not want to go after my computer. And that was my life, only sitting on my chair and playing the games.
Back in Britain, it's 5 days into our games experiment. Sparky has played for 27 hours.
Leave house without man.
Grant has been playing for around 35 hours.
It's fantasy. I like anything that's fantasy.
And Robin for 73 hours.
Well, it's just like you can like go online. It's just fun. You can just like sit in all day, do nothing. Just like meet other people from around the world.
It's 11:55. He was still on the computer. Friday still the same. Saturday still the same. Usually the minimum sometimes is 16, 17 hours on the computer.
In recent years, the gaming industry has changed beyond recognition, and it's the new types of games that can be played on the internet that are now causing concern. These are console-based games. You simply buy them and then you play them. There are many levels, but basically each has a distinct end. Players don't need to connect with the internet in order to play them. But online games are very different. Players log onto the web and link up with gamers all over the world. There's no end to these so-called new generation games, and players can spend hour after hour immersed in their own virtual world.
Do you think that gamers actually manage to encourage each other to play for longer?
Oh, definitely. I mean, if you go online, it gives you bragging rights if you play for 8 to 10 hours. It gives you bragging rights that you're online every single day. It gives you bragging rights that they even have statistics with who plays the longest online.
So 10 days into our trial, how much time have our boys been devoting to their games? 6-year-old Sparky's played for 49 hours. Grant's been at his desk for 101 hours.
As far as I know, Grant has spent the whole day on his computer playing games. He's still up there playing games now. I've just been upstairs and had a look in on him, and he's just still playing there. So, you know, it's nearly 12.5 hours he's been playing for today.
Meanwhile, Robin has been playing for a massive 110 hours, which means that so far he's spent more than 11 hours a day gaming. While we're only just waking up to the problem in Britain, around the world there's growing evidence that excessive gaming might be dangerous. In December 2004 in China, Zhang Xiaoyi, a 13-year-old, committed suicide after playing a game for 36 hours consecutively. In Korea, a couple were arrested when their baby daughter died. They'd left her alone and gone on a gaming binge. A man also died there from exhaustion after playing an online game for 50 hours. But could the answer to the addiction question lie in America, which is the biggest games market in the world? They have been looking at gaming closely, following cases such as that of Sean Woolley.
How are you?
Fine, how are you?
I travelled over there to meet his mum, Liz.
He was happy and he liked to make people laugh, and he reminded me a lot of Jim Carrey. He was kind of goofy.
As a child, Sean loved gaming. This continued throughout his life, and Liz began to notice changes in her son.
It was his personality that changed. I saw him not be able to talk to people anymore. He got very shy with people, including me, and didn't even want to be around people. And he got paranoid of real people. I saw him lose his job. I saw him get evicted. I saw him not wanting to go back to work, not wanting to participate in his real life. He wanted to just play this game.
Liz became increasingly worried about Sean. Shortly before Thanksgiving in 2002, she visited his apartment.
I went to the door and it was still unlocked. And then I knew there was probably something wrong. And I opened the door and there he was sitting on the chair in front of his computer, and he had shot himself. And I just looked at him and I knew it had something to do with that game. And I just went out in the hall and I collapsed.
Convinced that Sean's addiction to video games had contributed to his death, Liz set up a gaming addiction website. Every day she's deluged by people who are desperate for help.
I play too much when I'm under stress. I play even after I'm hungry and tired and my body aches, but I can't stop. I play when I'm lonely or bored. I feel guilty when people draw attention to how much I play.
The website also provides information and support for gaming addicts and their families. It gets more than 2,000 hits every day.
This activity can be life-threatening. And to me, that is like the most important thing that people need to know. And not only by committing suicide, but also by leaving their real life completely and getting so enveloped into the fantasy land of the game that they don't have a real life and they can't get back to it.
Back in Britain, leading expert on addiction, Dr. Robert LeFevere, is concerned.
I'm very familiar with computer games. I remember going to bed at 5 o'clock in the morning after playing, I forget what it was, Space Invaders. I played the entire night. I'd started at about 8 o'clock in the evening, and I played till 5 o'clock the next morning. I was determined to get an extra man. That is normal behaviour on rare occasions. You know, like just getting drunk is normal behaviour on rare occasions. It's when people do it again and again and again, and they find they can stop it, but then they go back to it. That's when you've got a problem.
But other experts believe that gaming is not an addiction. It simply hides more deep-rooted problems.
When we look at video game playing, we see that it doesn't really compare to other addictive behaviours. The consequences of playing don't tend to be as severe. So, for example, people that play video games a lot, they're not ingesting toxic substances. They're not committing illegal acts. The video game is the symptom of the problem. And if somebody wants to play video games all of the time, it suggests that they're seeking to escape from other problems in their lives.
The boys are now at the end of their 15-day experiment, so just how many hours did they spend gaming? Sparky, who remember is just 6, played for 71 hours. That's nearly 5 hours a day.
Why did you throw a paddy when you were playing on the game and Stevie went to take it off you?
Because it wasn't his turn.
Well, you'd been on it all day.
Didn't even die.
Well, that's not the point. You had been on it all day.
15-year-old Grant played a whopping 160 hours, averaging 10.5 hours every single day. But Robin, who's also 15, gamed for a mammoth 168 hours. That's more than 11 hours a day gaming. Mum Wendy has had enough.
I feel like it's on an old broken record repeating. Robin, come on now off the computer. I just get a load of abuse off him. I just feel that is wearing me down.
So the boys don't think they're addicted, but their mums do. Time to bring in our expert. Dr. Pat SPUNGIN is a child psychiatrist, and she's going to study the footage from the trial and assess each boy to see if they're displaying symptoms of addiction.
I wouldn't like to deal with this boy when he's 15.
So does Pat think Sparky is addicted?
I think this is a very exciting game. You can absolutely see that in his eyes. He is riveted to the screen. He's living it. He's saying, you're to blame, get out of my way, now. And he's absolutely, I suppose you would say, addicted to the excitement. And it obviously is very, very exciting. Question is it good for him? The answer is no, not 10 hours a day, maybe an hour a day, 10 hours a day, absolutely not.
What about Grant?
He seems like a boy who kind of thinks about where he is and what he's doing, so I'm inclined to believe him in that sense. But addicted or not, he's behaving like a person who's addicted if he's gaming for 10 or 12 hours a day. So what's the difference? Is he addicted or is he not? If he's doing that, it's not good for him.
And finally, Robin.
Robin is playing for so long, so many days, that if it's a true addiction or not, he's behaving like a person who's addicted. He has to have his fix of these games. He's getting high on the excitement and the sense of achievement and the sense of progression. But in the real world, this achievement, this progression, doesn't count for anything. What future is he going to have? I mean, what qualifications is he going to get? What job is he going to do? How is he going to, what kind of life is he going to live? I mean, are we going to reach the point where he sits in his room all day, day in and day out, and somebody pushes his food through the door and that's it, and he completely cuts himself off from society?
So Dr. Pat recommends that all computers are removed from the boys' rooms and they should be strictly limited to 1 hour's playing time per day. How will they all cope with video game detox?
Today is day 1, and well, there's not much to do today. So by the end of the week, I mean absolutely nothing.
2 more stickers, and what does that mean?
1 hour on the game, but I'm not on 1 hour.
You are going to only have 1 hour.
But Robin couldn't do that. It's only day 1, and he's broken the new rules by gaming for over 3 hours.
I went to the shops, played on the computer for a couple of hours, and all 3 of us sat down and we had tea.
ELSPA is the organisation in the UK which represents the gaming industry. I went to meet Simon HARVEY to put to him what I found out and ask what's being done to warn parents and children of the dangers of excessive gaming.
These games are intriguing. They're wonderful entertainment experiences. Millions of people are enjoying them. It's simply important that people are able to enjoy those games within a sensible framework of time.
So just pinpoint for me, what are the guidelines?
It's very, very simple, and again it comes back to my common sense message. Take regular breaks. Don't play for hours on end. Sit in a well-lit room. Don't sit in a dark room. Don't sit too near the screen. Games as part of a healthy lifestyle.
So should there be a time limit on video games?
No, there shouldn't. People should take responsibility for their families. People should take responsibility for themselves. The majority of people, the millions of people around the world who play games, do it in a sensible way.
It's 3 weeks later, so how are Sparky, Grant and Robin coping without gaming? For Grant, our experiment, it would seem, has given him the jolt he needed. Realising just what a hold gaming had on his life, he's determined to make a change.
I was thinking seriously about what kind of life I want, how I want to spend my time, how to make the most of my time. I figured playing too much computer games is definitely not the way I want to live. I've decided that I'm going to get rid of the game I just recently bought.
It's annoying, but I know that at the end of the day, I'm in control of it because I can just take the power cables away and he can't get on them at all.
Only Robin is still gaming. Mum Wendy has encouraged him to stop, but he won't. He's hooked.
I can't deal with it. I just can't. I think probably Robin's going to end up ruining the roost again. This is how it's going to be. I just cannot deal with this at all.
For Robin, unless he gets help, the future doesn't look good. He could get treatment in Holland or even America, but it's costly and Wendy can't afford it. She's at the end of her tether. It's a stark warning for any parent who has no idea how much time their children spend gaming. Last week, the problem was highlighted by a panel of experts who claim children are becoming victims of junk culture. Unless parents take control, the problem of children who game excessively will only get worse. Virtually addicted or not, it's one game of chance that's simply not worth taking.
Linda Dubiely with that report. If you're worried that your child has a problem with video games, you can find further information on our website at itv.com/tonight. Coming up on Friday, as the organisers of this year's London Fashion Week are urged to ban ultra-skinny supermodels from its catwalks, 17-year-old Peaches Geldof will be investigating whether the current celebrity trend for size zero fashion could be contributing to the rise in anorexia among young girls.
Do you think you're influenced by Celebrity magazine?
Definitely, yeah.
Skinny
Size
stuff.
zero and everything like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go skinny. I would love to be ultra skinny, but it's just, I can't.
Like Nicole Richie?
Yeah, she's my absolute idol. But then I don't think But that's it's nice. a bit weird It's to a be bit like, I know it's horrible, too but skinny. I can't help but feel that.
And you can see Peach's exclusive report on Friday night at 8 o'clock. Until then, from all of us here, goodbye and thank you for joining us.